$25,561. That's the annual VA disability gap between 70 and 100%. Professor Buliu is here to help us inspect what the 70% number actually changes. The letter gives one percentage, but another root hides a second percentage that can block it. We'll reveal that after the household audit.
Start with the current table. 70% pays a veteran alone $1,808.45 each month in 2026.
The step from the 60% rate isn't cosmetic. It adds $373.43 every month, or $4,481.16 over 12 checks.
Here are the three official veteran alone rows together: 60 at $1,435, 70 at $1,808, and 100 at $3,938.
That middle row is the payment. It isn't a promise that the top row follows. At 70, the law starts asking what the rating is for and what the service-connected conditions do.
Professor Buliu split the fresh decision, what belongs to compensation, and what needs a separate eligibility review.
The table answers what VA pays at the current rating and household row. An eligibility page answers whether another program can review a claim. One is arithmetic after an award. The other is a gate with facts still to prove.
The monthly distance to 100 is $2,130.13.
Across a year, that separates 70 from 100 by $25,561.56. The calculator is useful. The eligibility record is decisive.
The first federal route is the multiple disability IU threshold. The second is the rating floor in the Program of Comprehensive Assistance for Family Caregivers.
Kim, why are we starting with the household check before either program?
Because every viewer at 70 can verify the compensation row. IU and PCAFC apply only when their additional facts exist. Starting with the universal check gives everyone one useful result before we branch into narrower routes.
It also prevents urgency from distorting sequence. Verify the money that should already be present. Only then investigate the conditional route that fits the veteran's real facts. These two screens aren't for every veteran at this rating.
70 automatically pays the 100% rate because...
No. That would be a very expensive missing sentence. The threshold isn't an automatic award. Both routes have other gates.
The studio question is already right. Which part of your 70 matters more tonight? The household row, the care record, or the work record? Keep that answer nearby.
Free rating guides are at va.professorerica.com. Coming up, we audit your household line and separate caregiver evidence from IU evidence. One thing before the next part, and then we move right on. If any of this is clicking, tap that like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell for the next one. It takes a second, it costs nothing, and it helps more than you would think.
Put the household paperwork beside the decision. The veteran alone row is only correct for a veteran paid alone. A correct table can't repair a spouse or child missing from the award.
For a veteran alone, the current row is $1,808.45. Page by page, compare the household record beside it.
Add only VA-recognized dependents. With a spouse, the table shows $1,961.45.
Watch the rows build, not the family story in your head.
One child with no spouse is a different row, $1,910.45. Similar-looking households are not interchangeable columns.
With a spouse and one child, the monthly amount becomes $2,074.45.
Which line, though?
Match the dependents on the current award, not an unprocessed household change.
Suppose the award still lists the veteran alone while the household records show a recognized spouse. The useful finding isn't merely a $153 difference. It's a record mismatch that tells you exactly what to investigate.
The child-only row is $102 above the veteran alone row. That doesn't mean every child adds $102. It means that published household row pays $1,910.45.
Additional children have their own add-ons. At 70, another child under 18 adds $76. A qualifying school child adds $246.
And if VA recognizes that the spouse receives aid and attendance, The table lists another $141. The record VA has recognized controls the amount.
What household row does your award actually recognize? Lewis, give us the audit order without reopening the entire dependent claims episode.
Read the current dependents on the award, match today's household, and compare only the corresponding row. If those facts align, the table check is finished. If they don't, you've located the question. Photograph or print the award so today's audit has a fixed reference. If VA updates the dependent record, rerun the table from that new record instead of mixing dates, like properly made tea. One correct temperature beats 6 guesses.
Save the page you used and date the comparison. Rates can change by year. A clean audit records which official table supported the number.
Run a 3-box check. Confirm the rating row, recognize dependents and current household. Mark the mismatch before you recalculate anything.
Then dependent compensation begins only at 70 because
No, 30% is the eligibility floor. Exactly, 70 raises the amounts. It doesn't invent dependent pay. That distinction will matter again when we audit what this rating doesn't newly unlock. Compare the paid row with the family VA currently recognizes. That is the mismatch you can actually fix.
Professor Boulieu is still with us. What does the PCAFC 70% rating floor actually change?
It meets the rating floor. That's important, and it's only the first gate.
the program is about real personal care, not the drama of a percentage by itself. Keep the care being performed in view.
The current VA caregiver support page says a single or combined service-connected disability rating of 70% or more.
That's why 70 belongs in this episode. But the same sentence says other applicable eligibility criteria still matter.
The next visible boundary is care duration. The veteran must need in-person personal care services for at least 6 continuous months. A difficult week doesn't become a 6-month finding merely because the rating is 70.
What belongs in the care record without turning the family into amateur adjudicators?
Dates the personal care service actually needed and how often that need recurs. Describe what happens. Don't manufacture a medical conclusion or promise yourself an outcome. A plain contemporaneous record is more credible than a dramatic label.
So the rating can be combined?
Yes. For this rating floor, the page expressly says single or combined. Don't import the IU construction rule into the caregiver test.
That distinction is doing real work. Same number, different program, different remaining questions before a caregiver review can be approved.
If the rating is 70, approval follows?
No. The care need and the rest of the criteria still have to be documented.
Build a care calendar, what help happens, who provides it, and how the need continues across months. Make each entry observable. Note the task and date. Record the help provided and what happened without it. If the pattern changes, record the change. The calendar supports the next conversation. It doesn't decide the program.
We're stopping at the threshold on purpose. Recent caregiver episodes cover the application and reassessment details. This scene answers the narrower question. 70 satisfies the floor, then the care facts take over.
Program switch. PCAFC accepts single or combined 70. IU tests rating construction. Mixing them is the trap.
A family can therefore have the qualifying rating and still need better care documentation. That isn't a contradiction. It's the remaining eligibility work.
Call it the 70 screen, not the 70 approval. That phrase keeps the family from mistaking a required floor for a completed determination. Before we get to IU construction, keep the care calendar in its own folder. The next scene changes both the legal test and the evidence.
70 opens caregiver review, 6 months of personal care need, and every remaining criterion control the decision.
Now use a different rulebook. The multiple disability IU route starts with one disability at 40% or more. It doesn't say combined 70 and stop.
It asks for at least one service-connected disability rated 40% or more, plus the combined 70.
VA's official page joins those figures. This is the current scheduler route, not forum memory.
A veteran with several smaller ratings that combine to 70 may miss this particular scheduler percentage route if none is at least 40.
Then 140 and combined 70 settles everything because
No, it settles the scheduler percentage screen. Service-connected disability must also prevent substantially gainful employment. That work consequence isn't optional.
Take a simple record example. The combined evaluation is 70. One listed condition is 40. That clears the scheduler percentage construction. We still know nothing about whether service-connected limitations prevent substantially gainful work.
reverse it. The file describes serious work limits, but no individual disability reaches 40, and the ordinary combined total is 70. The work evidence may be strong while this particular scheduler percentage route is incomplete.
Don't let either half borrow certainty. I mean, the rating sheet proves construction. The work file proves consequence.
That's why work evidence sits beside the award. Check job duties and absences. Add accommodations, earnings context, and the medical link to service-connected limitations. Put each item beside the condition it supports. A generic work history may describe hardship, but the audit still needs the service-connected link and its effect on sustainable work.
The word underemployment sounds close, but close words can hide different tests. Listen to how Disabled American Veterans explains the ordinary employment term.
Kim, underemployment isn't VA's IU work test. The official page's substantially gainful employment language controls.
The wording difference matters because a viewer may hear a familiar employment term and assume it's the benefit standard. We use the Disabled American Veterans segment to expose that temptation. We use VA's page to state the rule.
On the work file, write two headings, rating construction and employment effect. A blank side means 70 hasn't answered IU.
We recently covered marginal work in depth, so keep this episode's boundary clean. To be precise, 40 plus 70 is the percentage gate. The work file proves the rest.
And if the rating arithmetic qualifies but the work evidence doesn't, the larger payment doesn't follow merely because the numbers look promising.
Audit the construction first. Then audit why service-connected limitations prevent steady supporting work. Two files, two separate questions.
Before claiming a new benefit at 70, check whether dependent pay eligibility opened earlier. Bureaucracy doesn't refund us for inventing the same threshold twice.
Dependent compensation is the first correction. VA can start that eligibility once the combined evaluation reaches 30%.
At 70, the compensation amounts rise. Eligibility to add a dependent isn't born again.
Healthcare is the second correction. A service-connected rating of 50% or more is already one route into Priority Group 1.
So what do we call a benefit that arrives twice?
A spreadsheet error.
The source pages decline the joke and keep their original thresholds.
We already ran this experiment at 30 and 50. Preserve the earlier thresholds. A veteran moving from 60 to 70 shouldn't stop using healthcare or dependent benefits while hunting for something supposedly new. Those records remain active responsibilities. Keep address, dependent, and care records current while testing the new program gates. A higher percentage isn't permission to let the older ledger drift.
Keep earlier benefits active. 70 adds compensation and screens for IU and PCAFC. It doesn't restart their eligibility clocks. Write the thresholds in order: 30 for dependents, 50 for Priority Group 1, and 70 for the two screens here.
That board prevents a common mistake, treating higher dollars at 70 as a brand new benefit every time.
Two jobs only. 70 raises the compensation table amounts, and it satisfies a rating threshold in two programs with their own remaining tests.
That is also the clean answer to the title question. The money increase is universal for the correct 70% household row. The caregiver and IU consequences are conditional because each belongs to a separate program.
Read it page by page in 3 columns. Benefit, threshold, remaining proof. If the third column is empty, you're looking at a payment table. If it contains program facts, don't collapse them into the percentage. That's the difference between a rate chart and an entitlement analysis.
That 3-column test keeps old benefits from looking new and thresholds from looking automatic. Mark the source beside each threshold. A clean chart keeps a payment increase from masquerading as an entirely new benefit.
70 doesn't itself create 100% pay.
Because a threshold isn't an award.
Precisely. That sentence has now survived 3 different programs. It may be worth keeping.
My verdict: both things are true. Protect existing benefits and use 70 only where the current rule names it. Professor Beaulieu is back with us. Which 4 records must match before anyone acts on a 70% award?
Payment and caregiver records first. Those answers tell you which rating and evidence files matter next. Keep the 4 files separate long enough to answer each question honestly.
4 folders, not one heroic pile. That alone prevents the rules from bleeding into each other.
The audit has 4 rows: rate and household, caregiver gates and duration, IU construction with 1 at 40 plus combined 70, and evidence of work limits or personal care need.
The folder 2 needs 70 or more, 6 continuous months of personal care need, and every remaining PCAFC criterion.
Folder 3 is rating construction. Don't write combined 70 and assume the 40 exists. Copy the individual evaluations.
That leaves folder 4, evidence, not percentage. Use work limitations for IU or the actual personal care need for PCAFC.
Right. Kim's calling it the 70 screen, and that keeps us from turning a threshold into an award.
If you remember nothing else, 70 can open a review, but the program-specific record earns the decision.
I have the calculator beside the file. To be precise, it verifies $25,561.56 annually. It can't verify eligibility.
This CC walkthrough shows va.gov's benefit letter download. Use it to retrieve your own letter.
In 15 minutes, copy the paid amount and recognized household. Then copy each evaluation, recurring personal care, and work evidence already in the file.
Do not solve every claim tonight. Use this 15-minute sprint to locate the missing record. That changes tomorrow's task from understand 70% to one concrete document or conversation. Write that next step in plain language.
No outcome tonight is fine. I mean, leave with one precise action, not a vague percentage.
Bureaucracy has achieved folder-based suspense.
It has had decades of practice.
Professor Beaulieu, thank you. One last sentence. What should the veteran do tonight?
Match the payment, then prove the specific gate you intend to use.
Match the 1808 base or correct household row. Only then prove the caregiver or IU gate.
But carry the annual gap as motivation, not as evidence. $25,561.56 explains why the audit matters. It never substitutes for the audit.
Send this to a veteran who checked only the letter's headline and subscribe for the next audit. Of your 4 records, what's strongest tonight and what still needs evidence? The next episode audits 80%. Until then, keep the rule beside the record. I'm Professor Erica. Take care.